This is Umar for BoxNation. I'm joined by Gareth after quite a long while. You were in the States, weren't you, Gareth?
I was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That's why I'm singing Elvis, baby. Not that he's from there, he's from Memphis, Tennessee. So I'm singing happy birthdays to all and sundry, especially your loved ones. So if you want to sing a gram, I'm your man. No, it's good. Loved it. BKB, bare knuckle, 39. Got to meet the whole American crew. Loads of them from Miami. Ulysses, the former champion. Jose and Jose around them all week. Jack Marshman, former UFC fighter, wasn't able to beat Cub Hawkins, who was really elusive in the main event. Absolutely loved it. New kind of area, new zone for me in America. Beachside, it was a bit like Southend and Leon Sea rolled into one. Big Ferris wheel, gaudy area with amusements and families, and beautiful beach further down where pelicans were, with 8-foot wingspan, were feeding early in the morning, where I was collecting shark's teeth and I found 3.
Okay, sounds like some trip. I mean, I'd love to say I know what you're talking about, but
I watched Saturday night, all of it. I didn't watch your event. I'm going to catch up with it from Gibraltar, de España, y Inglaterra también, de Gran Bretaña. I will catch up with that because Ollie Bessel will whack me if I don't. But I watched the DAZN show from a lovely beachside resort, sipping margaritas, of course. And the timing was perfect, 5 in the afternoon. Very, very peculiar show, heavy impact in my view.
can we come on to that in a second? I just want to
Yeah,
come on
sure.
to what's looking like it's going to be a 10-round fight, or maybe not. Maybe it would be a 12-round fight with Whittaker and Cameron too. So just get your thoughts on Boxer sending 2 different contracts to Ben and Liam.
Tariff, no tariff. That's the question, yeah? To tariff or not to tariff? 10 rounds or 12 rounds? Look, I heard Ben Shalom explaining it on Talk Sport earlier today as I was driving. And he says there was an error, an office printing error in the contract. He fluffed it up, or he didn't, but whoever wrote the contract did. Frank Warren forced them into a corner, as I understand it. They had to readdress the contract. They've had to pay for it as a result. Something's being played out behind the scenes, but in front of the scenes, in the front scenes of the front stage, Frank, Liam are looking to embarrass Ben Shalom over this latest scenario. Listen, if the 11th round comes on April the 20th, Easter Sunday, better roll out his egg, Ben Whittaker, and come out for the 11th round. Otherwise, he's going to lose. They're saying it's 10 rounds, but we may not know till late in the fight week whether it's 10 or 12. If you sign for 12, I agree with Frank, if you sign for 12, it's 12. It shouldn't make any difference whatsoever to Ben Whittaker whether it's 10 or 12 rounds, frankly. He rates himself as the better fighter. 12 rounds is the championship rounds. It's time for him to step up. He needs a very, very optically brilliant performance. I don't think he fears Liam Cameron, but Cameron put him under serious duress last time. And if he is concerned about the number of rounds, and Ben Shalom says he hasn't even spoken to Ben Whittaker yet about the 10 or 12, he says Whittaker assumes it's the same contract as the first fight, which was 10 rounds, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a right old mess that they've gotten themselves into. 10 or 12, just get it over the line. We want to see the fight. It's one of those outstanding rematches that we want to see because the jury's out on Ben Whittaker. Is his power there? Was he in trouble? Did he back out? Did he bottle it? Was he genuinely injured? He can answer all of those questions with a fine performance. We don't want a Pyrrhic victory where he prances around and just, I say prancing, where he dances around and just takes the rounds and avoids. Let's see him be loose, be greedy, hit hard, and show Liam Cameron who's the guy on his way to the elite levels and who's the guy that's halted his progress halfway through his climb.
If you're now Liam Cameron, Frank Warren, and Lee Eaton, obviously manages Liam, do you now, leave it to the last sort of hour next week to keep going and saying no, 12 rounds, and then take a fee? And if you had to put a wild estimate, how much do you think that fee would be to bring it
Probably
back to
50
10 rounds?
grand.
50
Probably
grand.
50 grand, I'd say, because Well, Ben started retracting. He started reneging earlier in the day, saying if they don't want to take it, then we'll go and find someone else. No, this is the fight. This is the fight where he has to prove something. He's got 2 million Instagram followers now, hasn't he?
3.2.
Is it 3.2? Well, he skipped to the life beyond. He skipped to the fast cars and the sweets from the streets. He's no longer a neophyte. He's got a following. He needs to satisfy that following. That magical dance that he's created, the pirouetting, the punishments from the referee, the ability to dance his way around opponents has created an audience that wants to be satisfied. What we want to see now is a great performance from him. I think he will win. I think he'll win well. But we need power as well, and he needs to get Liam Cameron's respect early. In answer to your question, I think Frank and Liam will stretch it out as long as possible because the old fox knows what he's doing, and you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. I do. Okay, let's talk about Manchester then. Firstly, Adeleye-TKV. Have you ever seen something like that before where the referee calls break twice, doesn't intervene, slaps Jamie's hand or pulls Jamie's hand, whatever you want to say, then thinks about counting, not counting, then starts counting, then tells Barry Smith, Jamie's trainer, that I didn't call break, and then goes back up to him later and says I did call break. I mean, I've never seen anything like that, Gareth. I'm not sure if you have.
Well, weirdly, and I'm not trying to speak wisely after the event, when I looked at the referee and I saw the size of those two men, first of all, I thought, you're going to have to be strong here. We're not used to you refereeing. We've normally got a strict Howard Foster, a Marcus McDonnell, John Lyons. We've got Steve Gray, who's a tall 6'5" guy that referees a lot of heavyweight fights. John Latham, who's very strong, all the way through the fight. They didn't seem to be doing any kind of clever or tenacious inside work. Every time he separated them like that. Time and time again, they weren't separated to that. I don't think he wasn't as powerful with them as he should have been. He wasn't as adept with them as he should have been. He's only been a star referee for a year, although he's been in the business 9.5 years, Ron Kearney, and he's obviously written his report. I spoke to Robert Smith on Sunday morning after watching it. It was a very bizarre affair. Very bizarre from TKV and David Adeleye, in my view. It looked like they'd done hundreds of rounds together and weren't sure about what they should do in fighting on the inside. He should have been strong with them. He wasn't from the off, and it allowed it to... They fumbled their way through 3.5 rounds, 4 rounds nearly. I thought TKV got the best of the boxing in the first 3. I saw Adeleye starting to grow in confidence and come on strong. A lot of people aren't saying that, but that's what I saw. I saw Adeleye on the way to hurting TKV. I had that chat with Ben Davison privately as well. He said he had TKV winning every round. I don't agree with that. David Adeleye was starting to get a foothold in the fight. The moment you describe was very poor refereeing, and David Adeleye stretching the moment. It could have been technically disqualified. It could have been declared a no contest. It could have been a win for TKV if he'd managed to get up and David Adeleye had been disqualified. So it could have gone any one of any ways. I'm delighted a rematch has been ordered. I've been trying to find the press release all day from the Boxing Board of Control, and my understanding is it doesn't explain whether David Adeleye stays as champion or not, or whether it's rescinded and they fight for the vacant title again. I fear for TKV that he'll be fighting the champion and getting a lesser purse.
I mean, I assume so, because obviously David Adeleye, as it stands, is currently British champion, and you're right in that circular. It didn't state why they've ordered an immediate rematch. It didn't state whether David's, still champion, i.e. they ruled it a no contest, or they keep David's win. So I'm assuming David keeps his win and goes in as British champion defending that. What do you think should happen to the referee?
Well, he will have given his report and they'll take a decision on it. I don't think they'll put him in with 2 unorthodox heavyweights again for a while. They have to give a report. Robert Smith was waiting for the ringside supervisor's report on Sunday morning. It was about midday on Sunday. I'd watched it. I'd seen all the reaction. I had done a couple of interviews. And he said, look, I'm amassing it all. Luckily, we've got stewards meeting on Wednesday. We will definitely discuss this. I've seen the consternation around it, and it needs discussing. And thankfully, we didn't have to wait long. And in many ways, at least we've got TKV knowing that he can get straight back in there and fight David Adeleye again. Has David Adeleye got away with it? Maybe. Is TKV good enough to be challenging for the world title, for the British title right now? Maybe he answered a few questions. There were question marks on him going into this. Was he ready? Was he good enough? He was certainly good enough for 3 rounds. I thought it was a very weirdly subdued David Adeleye, especially given the build-up. You know, there was fire and vim and vigour between them. I'll be interested to see what he gets fined for tipping the table over as well, by the way, if that comes to fruition. So a lot of talking points. I'm happy to see them fight again. I'm happy to see them, let me repeat that, I'm happy to see them fight again.
Lastly, if you're speaking honestly here, Joe Joyce has been an incredible servant, amateur and professional, in his career thus far. Is it time to retire, though, Gareth, in your opinion?
Yes, it is time to retire. Too slow, too old, hit too much. Was it a good performance from him? Weirdly, yes. Would it have given him enough juice to know that he wants to carry on? Yes. Did he lose the fight convincingly? Yes. But he did everything that in my previews I asked him to do. He started quicker. He never relented. He threw punches the entire time. But almost the entire time, he was countered and hurt by the arcing and sometimes direct punches off the ropes of Filip Hrgović, who I think is the number 6 in the world. I really do. I think he's the number 6 heavyweight. Joe is very hard to remove. It's a blessing and a curse that he's got this incredible chin. But we've now seen him dropped by Derek Chisora, absolutely hammered by Zhilei Zhang in the second fight in the stoppage. His eye closed in the first fight with Zhilei Zhang. He's lost 4 of his last 5. And from here, even though there's a rematch with Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker, against whom they lost, Joe has aged in the last 3 or 4 fights to the point where you don't want to see him in with them again, even though that there's probably a chance of that happening. And a couple of other fights, Fabio Wardley, Moses Itauma, they could put these guys in with him as well. And I think it's unfair. Too old, too slow. But I also fear that Joe, given all the interviews that he gave afterwards, I didn't see a chink in of hope that he's going to retire. He said, look, CTE, everyone keeps mentioning it. I love fighting. I love this. I'm not going anywhere. I feel absolutely fine. I think he'll have 3 or 4 more fights. The problem for Frank Warren, and you'll have addressed this with him, is if Joe says to him when he sits down, I want to carry on and I want you to promote me, Frank's got a difficult decision, as has Adam morally, in saying, look, morally, I'm not sure I want to do it with you anymore. But look at Danny Williams, who was fighting to his early 50s with licenses from all over the world, a guy that beat Mike Tyson and was addicted to the sport. Joe's addicted. But yes, I would like to see him nail the hook on one of those paintings, put his gloves over the hook and go and make money as a personality and as an artist.
Okay. Gee, thank you very much for your time. It's always good to catch up with you. And I hopefully shall see you soon.
Lovely.
Queensbury, exclusively on DAZN.